Every life is a reflection of a standard, not of wishes, not of hopes, not of what someone once promised themselves in an emotional moment, but of what they quietly accept day after day as normal. Most people think their life is shaped by luck, by opportunity, by who supported them or who did not. But in truth, life is shaped by tolerance. What you tolerate in your work, what you tolerate in your relationships, what you tolerate in your health, what you tolerate in your thinking, what you tolerate in your own behavior, that becomes your future. You may say you want more, but if you accept less, less is what you will continue to live with, because the mind will always move toward the standard it has agreed is good enough. And good enough is one of the most dangerous phrases a human being can adopt. It sounds reasonable, it sounds mature, it sounds like acceptance, but very often it is simply resignation in polite language. When a person lowers their standards, they do not feel it all at once. They feel it slowly, in the quality of their days, in the tone of their thoughts, in the quiet awareness that something is missing, but not missing badly enough to force a change. And so life settles, not into what is possible, but into what is permitted. The standard you accept becomes the life you get. Standards are not what you talk about. They are what you enforce. A person may say they value growth, but if they tolerate stagnation, stagnation becomes their reality. They may say they value respect, but if they tolerate being treated poorly, that treatment becomes their environment. They may say they value health, but if they tolerate neglect, their body will reflect that tolerance. The mind is always watching what you allow, and it learns quickly. It learns what effort is optional, what discipline is negotiable, what behavior has no consequence. So it adjusts, not to your dreams, but to your allowances. That is why change rarely begins with a dramatic event. It begins with a quiet decision. This is no longer acceptable. Not said in anger, not said in emotion, but said with clarity. Until that sentence is spoken and lived, life continues at its current level. Because the standard you tolerate today is the ceiling you will live under tomorrow. Raising your standard does not mean demanding perfection. It means refusing to live beneath your potential. It means closing the gap between what you know you could be and what you allow yourself to be. Most people feel that gap. They feel it in moments of honesty, late at night, in silence, when there's no audience to impress. They know the habits they should change. They know the discipline they avoid. They know the conversations they delay. They know the work they postpone. But knowing is not enough. Standards are proven in moments of choice, when it would be easier to stay the same, when it would be simpler to excuse, when it would be more comfortable to settle. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, the standard quietly lowers. Every time you choose discipline over convenience, the standard quietly rises. And life always follows. Not immediately, not dramatically, but inevitably. There is a hidden cost to low standards that few people talk about. It is not just the life you live. It is the life you stop believing is possible. When you accept less than your potential for too long, your expectations shrink. You begin to aim lower, not because you want less, but because you no longer trust yourself to demand more. So dreams become modest, goals become safe, ambitions become realistic. And realistic often means I have adjusted my hopes to match my tolerance. This is how people slowly forget who they once wanted to become, not through failure, but through accommodation. They accommodate fatigue. They accommodate doubt. They accommodate mediocrity. They accommodate the opinions of others. Until one day, the idea of a higher standard feels foreign, almost arrogant. But it is not arrogance to expect more of yourself. It is respect. It is saying my time matters, my effort matters, my life matters. And when that respect returns, standards rise naturally, not from pressure, but from clarity. When you raise your standards, something important happens inside you. You stop negotiating with the part of yourself that wants to stay small. You no longer ask, is this comfortable? You begin to ask, Is this worthy of the life I am trying to build? You no longer measure your actions by how you feel in the moment, but by how they align with who you are becoming. This is where real change begins, not with intensity, not with emotion, but with quiet, firm resolve. Resolve that says, I will no longer live below my capability. I will no longer excuse what I would not accept from my future self. I will no longer call average enough when I know I was built for more. Higher standards do not make life harder. They make it clearer. You waste less time. You tolerate less nonsense. You recover faster from setbacks. You choose better habits, better conversations, better direction. Because once your standards rise, your choices begin to match them automatically, and life, without being forced, starts to rise with you. In the end, your life is not a mystery. It is a mirror. It reflects the level of behavior you allow, the discipline you practice, respect you demand of yourself, and the direction you insist on maintaining. The standard you accept in your thinking becomes the quality of your decisions. The standard you accept in your habits becomes the rhythm of your days. The standard you accept in your relationships becomes the tone of your world. Nothing rises above the standard that governs it. So if you desire a different life, do not first look for a different environment. Look for a higher standard. Decide what you will no longer tolerate. Decide what you will no longer postpone. Decide what level of effort, focus, and integrity you will now call normal. Because when your standard changes, your behavior follows. And when your behavior changes consistently, your life has no choice but to change with it.